The thunder rolled outside my window as if the sky itself was breaking apart, and honestly, so was I. My heart couldn't have been more shattered if I'd broken it with my own hands. Rain lashed mercilessly against the glass, harsh, icy, unrelenting. I had felt storms before, but never one that mirrored the chaos inside me so perfectly. Atlanta's storm wasn't the only thing tearing through this night. I crouched on the freezing stone porch, holding onto my son, my 5-year-old Zion, like he was all I had left in this world. Maybe he was. His tiny body was curled up tightly in my lap. He had cried himself to sleep. Tear stains lined his chubby cheeks, and every now and then his lip would quiver in his dreams. I knew he was still scared. Why wouldn't he be? He had just heard his grandmother, my mother-in-law, scream us out of her house like we were beggars. Like we were nothing. A loud clang outside snapped me back, a final sound of rejection, the heavy iron gate slamming shut behind us. Our way back gone. 3 years, that's how long I had lived in that house. 3 years of trying to be part of their family, ever since the day my husband, Sterling, vanished on a business trip and never came home. I had promised myself I would hold that family together. That I'd be strong for Sterling, take care of his parents, give our son a connection to his roots. That mansion, 3 stories tall, cold and elegant, had once felt like a safe place when he was alive. Now it felt like a haunted prison where love never lived. Music swells and fades, replaced by soft sobbing sound. Before I go any further, I just want to remind you that I share real, raw, emotional life stories every day. If this story touches you, please consider liking and subscribing. It helps more people hear stories that matter. Now, back to that night. Her voice still echoes in my ears. Mrs. Celeste Vance, my mother-in-law, her words poisonous. Get out of this house right now. I don't want to ever see your cursed face again. You and that brat are leeches, nothing but burdens to our family. She didn't care that Zion was shaking, didn't care that it was pouring outside. She shoved my suitcase onto the lawn, ripping it open. My clothes, my memories, everything scattered and soaked. And Mr. Ellis Vance, my father-in-law. He just stood there, silent, cold. He didn't stop her, didn't speak. Just looked away like I had never existed. Tell me honestly, what did I do wrong? What crime had I committed other than losing my husband? Since Sterling disappeared, I did everything for that family. I got up before dawn, made breakfast, vacuumed the entire house, took care of the garden. I worked at a warehouse just down the road from our block. Long shifts, cracks in my feet, cramps in my wrists, but every single cent I made, everyone went into Celeste's hands. She controlled the finances. I never complained. When she said my cooking was bad, I practiced her recipes over and over. When she mocked my cheap clothes, called me village trash, I wore the same shirts again and again, just so I wouldn't offend her refined tastes. Even when she mocked me for only having one child, as if I chose infertility, I never answered back. I swallowed cuts that didn't bleed on the surface, but left me bruised deeply inside. And still I hoped naively. I thought one day she would acknowledge me. She would see my heart, she would love my son. But I was wrong. Goodness doesn't change some hearts. And that night, that awful night, my son broke her porcelain vase. An accident, a small misstep by a child. But to her, it was the final straw. She stormed in, spun Zion around, and screamed so loudly he froze. His tiny lips trembled, and he apologized a dozen times while crying uncontrollably. Me, I stood stunned, not because of her anger, but because of her eyes. There was no pity in them. No grandmother. Only venom. In minutes, we were thrown out into the raging night. No money, no mercy. There I was, a mother with a 5-year-old, barefoot, dragging an old suitcase through sidewalks that felt like knives under my feet. We were drenched, no umbrella, no destination. Just cold, cutting rain and rejection. Music transitions, low strings, soft tension. I remember sobbing as we approached the downtown bus terminal. It wasn't warm, but it was covered, the only roof we could find. The lights flickered above, and the strong smell of cheap coffee and hopelessness lingered in the air. I found a hidden bench in one corner, laid Zion beside me, took off my jacket and used it as a blanket. His eyes opened once and whispered words I'll never forget. "Mama, I'm cold." I pulled him into my chest, tried to hide my tears, but they still fell. What kind of mother was I? Where would we sleep tomorrow? How would I feed him? Where would I go? I couldn't even bring myself to call my parents. They were old and poor, deep in rural Mississippi. I was the daughter who was supposed to find her way, not crawl back defeated. I looked up at that black sky, too heavy even for stars, and silently screamed. "Sterling, where are you? Can you see your son? Are you truly gone, or did someone take you from me too?" Right then, right there, something happened that would change everything. A car, not just any car, a black Cadillac Escalade pulled into the station lot, windows tinted, engine smooth. Too fancy for this neighborhood. Too polished for a place full of people like me. The window rolled down slowly, and inside was someone I barely could recognize. Her face so familiar yet changed. It was Jordan, Sterling's younger sister. The girl I hadn't seen in 3 years. The same girl who once rolled her eyes whenever I entered a room. But tonight, she wasn't the rebellious teenager I remembered. Tonight, she was my only shot at survival. And what she said next froze my breath. "Get in the car, Amara, I have something to show you." Something about Sterling. I stood frozen under the flickering lights of the bus terminal, hugging Zion close, soaked, cold, almost numb. That Escalade, a gleaming black beast, looked like it didn't belong in this world, sleek, powerful, silent. Then the window rolled down, not with warmth, not with compassion, but with confidence, and maybe a hint of danger. That's when I saw her. Jordan. My sister-in-law. Sterling's rebellious little sister, the one who used to roll her eyes whenever I called her by name, who once smeared black lipstick on and called me Village Basic. I hadn't seen her since the funeral. Back then, her rebelliousness had taken over her life. Rumors said she'd run away, partied hard, left the family drama behind. Sterling told me once, "She's just lost, Amara, don't judge her too harshly." She had never called me Babhai, not even once. And now, here she was. Black glasses, red lips, fancy clothes. In a car that looked like it drove itself off a movie set. Speechless, I clutched Zion closer, my clothes drenched, my son barely breathing in the cold. I didn't even get a chance to speak. "Get in," she said, calm, sharp. Not a suggestion. A command. I froze, my mind tripped over itself. Why was she here? How did she even know where I was? For a moment I wondered, was this a trap? Had Celeste sent her to pretend to help me, only to drag me back and humiliate me again? I stepped back slightly, shielded Zion. "What do you want?" Jordan didn't flinch. Didn't scroll her eyes like the old days. She just stared. "Now, Amara, if you want your son to survive this night, you'll come with me. I'm not here to hurt you." Then she lowered her sunglasses. There. For the first time, I saw them. Her eyes. Not angry, not proud. But sad. And tired. "There's something I need to show you," she said. "Something about Sterling." My breath caught in my throat. "Sterling. My husband." Gone 3 years. The name alone ripped through me like a storm. What secret could she possibly mean? I hesitated, looked at Zion. His lips were turning blue. And that was all the answer I needed. I picked him up, grabbed the suitcase, and climbed into the back of her car. The heat blasted on. Zion curled up on the leather seats like he'd finally found peace, and just like that, he fell asleep again. I didn't say a word. Neither did she. She just drove through the Atlanta streets, sleek and silent like a shadow in the rain. Neon lights splashed against the windows. My mind was racing. Who was this version of Jordan? And what did she mean by Sterling's secret? We stopped in front of a building I'd only ever seen in postcards. A luxury high-rise. Not the kind of place women like me, maids, warehouse workers, leftovers, ever entered. She parked in the basement, then led me up to the 25th floor. Inside the apartment. It was warm, elegant, too good to be real. Warm beige walls, dimmed lights, plush sofa. This wasn't a rescue. This was either a fairy tale or the beginning of another game. I gently laid Zion on the guest bed, pulled a soft throw over him. He didn't stir once. When I turned around, Jordan was standing behind me, holding a cup of warm tea. She set it on the table. "You're safe for tonight," she said. "Rest." But her eyes said not yet. The next morning, I woke up before the sun. Not because I was rested, but because my body had forgotten what that felt like. I looked around the room, Jordan's apartment. How did a runaway girl end up living in a place like this? I quietly tiptoed to the window. Atlanta was waking up under the dusty gold sunlight. Cars began honking below. I watched the skyline and still felt trapped in yesterday. My past wasn't done with me. I heard footsteps. Jordan entered dressed in a clean beige suit, her hair done, her lipstick perfect, a completely different Jordan. She handed me breakfast and a glass of water. "Eat something, you need energy for what's coming." I didn't touch the food. I just looked up at her. "Tell me," I whispered, "what do you know about Sterling?" She paused, looked away, then sat across from me. "Before I tell you what I know, you have to promise me something." I blinked. "What?" "Stay calm no matter what I say next, for Zion and for him." I nodded, even though my hands were trembling. Then she pulled out a folder and a voice recorder. She hit play. Voices came out, fuzzy, then clear. One I recognized immediately, Mr. Ellis Vance, my father-in-law. And the second, Celeste. Cruel, sharp, unfiltered. "She's useless," Celeste snapped. "Both of them, a burden. I'll throw her out when the time is right." Ellis responded with silence, then finally. "We can't treat her like this forever." "Why not?" she spat. "She took our son, she deserves nothing. This house, it's ours, his savings, ours. I won't give her a single cent." I froze. My lips went dry. "His savings." Jordan pressed a second document into my trembling hands. A bank statement. Withdrawn $200,000. By Ellis Vance. Right before Sterling's business trip. I felt the blood drain from my face. "It went into my mother's account," Jordan said coldly. "She gambled it all away." Then she handed me one final file. A real estate project document. Sterling had been working, obsessing over a green housing project in Alpharetta. He told me once, "If this works, our future is set." And just like that, I knew. He didn't just disappear. Something was taken from him. And his own family, might have had a hand in it. I looked at Jordan speechless, all the love I had shown Celeste, the sacrifices, the forgiveness. They all meant nothing. Not when money was involved. "This is why I brought you here," Jordan said, "because what happened wasn't fate. Sterling didn't vanish. He was erased. When the truth hit me, I couldn't breathe. My husband, Sterling, he didn't walk out of our lives. He was robbed of his future. And by the very people I once called family. $200,000, that's what he had in savings. Withdrawn days before his business trip. Not by a stranger, not a thief. But by his own father. And transferred to my mother-in-law, Mrs. Celeste Vance. She gambled it away. Then tossed Zion and me out in the rain like trash. And for what? To hide the evidence. To silence the only two people who still carried his name. I sat in silence in Jordan's luxury apartment, documents and audio recordings scattered across the table like broken glass. Each piece whispered one thing louder than the next. Sterling didn't leave you. They made him disappear. Jordan sat across from me, stone-faced but trembling inside. For the first time, she wasn't the rebellious sister mocking me in lipstick and combat boots. She was finally on my side. "I won't sugarcoat it, Amara," she said. "I think my brother found out what they did with the money, and I think they did something to him." Soft piano begins, hesitant and emotional. I didn't eat or sleep that night. I sat in the guest room with Zion sleeping beside me and watched the sky blink with distant lightning. What do you do when your world burns down in silence? When the ones who hugged you are the same ones who lit the fire. The next morning I stood in front of Jordan's bathroom mirror, eyes red, face hollow, but something inside me had finally returned. Resolve. I need to go back. Jordan turned sharply. "What, Amara? No, it's too dangerous." "It's the only way." Celeste is still furious. Don't even think for a second that she won't set a trap. "Trust me," I said, "that's exactly what I'm counting on." That's where the plan began. If I couldn't break into the house, I would walk back in. As the person they thought I was. Weak, ashamed, defeated. I would become their willing servant again. All to get into the one room that might still hold Sterling's secret. Step 1: disguise. Old clothes, hair uncombed, eyes swollen from fake crying. Jordan applied a little makeup to make me look pale and exhausted. I looked like someone who had slept on a bus terminal bench for days. Because not long ago I had. Step 2: the performance. I memorized my lines like an actress heading to war. I was hungry. I made a mistake. Please forgive me, Mama. Humility, guilt, fake devotion. They wanted a broken doll. I'd give them a masterpiece. The day came, I kissed Zion on the forehead as he slept and whispered a promise into his ear. I will bring Daddy's story home. I will get justice for him. And for us. I arrived at the iron gates. The same gate that had once shut us out. I stood in the rain again, but this time I wasn't the victim. This time, I was the Trojan horse. I knocked slowly. Again. Again. Until I heard her voice, sharp as ever. Who is it who's knocking like a beggar? Then the gate cracked open. There she stood, Mrs. Celeste. Always in pearls, always in poison. Her face dropped when she saw me. She was surprised, maybe even amused. You dare crawl back here. I dropped to my knees. My palms in the mud, hair dripping, voice trembling. Please, Mama, I have nowhere else. Zion's sick. I made so many mistakes. Please let me come back. I'll do anything. She blanked for a moment, then smirked. She liked it. The sight of me pathetic. Broken. She leaned in close and whispered. Fine, you can stay, but you'll earn your keep this time. No room, no privileges, just cleaning, cooking, obedience. I bowed my head, yes, Mama. And like that, I walked back into hell. My once bedroom, the only place I'd ever felt safe, is now her room. The place where Sterling and I had laughed, dreamed, imagined our future. Everything scrubbed out. Photos gone, memories erased. Sterling erased. I wasn't allowed near the room without her watching. But I knew one thing. The wooden box, the thing Sterling had once told me to protect. It was in there. Or it had been. All I needed was one chance alone. For 3 days, I scrubbed her floors and boiled her teas. She watched me like a hawk, dropped plates just to make me clean them again, burned food just so she could claim I ruined it. Even dumped soup on my feet. I smiled through the sting. Because I was getting closer. And then the opportunity came. Saturday afternoon. She had a so-called ladies' brunch. Mr. Ellis had gone golfing. The house, empty. I timed it. Waited 20 minutes after she left. I climbed quietly to the second floor, trembled in front of the locked bedroom door. But I had prepared for this. A thin metal hairpin Jordan trained me to use. 1 twist. 2 rotations. Click. Unlocked. And there I stepped into the lion's den. I rushed to the closet, searching desperately for the red velvet box under the old suitcase where I had hidden it years ago. But it was gone. My heart dropped. She must have found the suitcase. Had she thrown it away? Or... I looked up. There on top of the closet, dusty, almost invisible. The suitcase. I reached it, struggled to bring it down without making noise. Opened it. And there, in the velvet cloth, was the wooden box. Still closed. Still untouched. I opened it with shaking hands. And paused in confusion. Inside, only our wedding photo. No flash drive, no notes, no letters. Nothing. Until I flipped the photo over. And there it was. A tiny micro SD card. Taped to the back. He knew someone like her would never look there. I stuffed it into my pocket, and just then, I heard it. The front gate, her engine. She was back. Panic set in. The lock was broken, the closet was messy. How would I explain this? I had one option. I had to fake a break-in. I shoved the box messily into the suitcase, tossed clothes everywhere. Then stood in the hall. Took a deep breath. And screamed. Mama, Mama, thief, there was a thief in your room. I held my breath as I stood in the hallway. The chaos I'd staged in Celeste's bedroom, open drawers, scattered clothes, a broken lock, looked convincing. But it was also dangerous. Any wrong move now and everything, Sterling's truth, my last hope, would be gone. I heard the engine outside. The gate cracked open. Celeste had returned. I threw myself down the stairs, heart thudding, fear pumping through my veins like electricity. Mama, thief, someone broke into the room. She didn't ask questions, didn't look at me. She ran past, straight up to her room. just like I hoped she would. Her fears weren't for me, or even for Sterling. They were for her jewels and stash of stolen money. Soft thudding transition, heartbeat sound. It worked. For now. She didn't notice the tiny memory chip now sewn into the lining of my apron. She only saw broken drawers and panicked over her rings. Jinx, she screamed later, this only happened because you came back. I bowed my head. But inside, I smiled. That night I snuck out while they slept. I told her I needed time to recover from the break-in. She didn't care. Just waved her hand and locked her bedroom door behind her. I boarded a late-night bus to Jordan's safe house. I didn't sit, I couldn't. I clutched the memory card like it was oxygen. I had no idea what was on it. But I knew Sterling left it for one reason. To expose whoever had betrayed him. Music shifts, soft piano with rising suspense. When I arrived, Jordan and Elias were already waiting. Jordan rushed to me, "Are you okay?" "I got it. In the box." "No, the memory card, hidden in our wedding photo." She gasped, "Sterling." Elias, ever the sharp one, set the card into his laptop's side port. We stared quietly, side by side, as the screen flashed open. One folder. Named simply, "The Truth." Inside, videos. Dozens of them, each labeled by date. Starting from 3 days before his disappearance. The first video loaded. No sound. Just silent surveillance footage. Sterling's study, our old home. He sat stiffly across from someone I didn't recognize. Well-dressed, sleek suit, a fake smile that didn't reach his eyes. They argued, animations without audio. No gestures of peace, only tension. Sterling shook his head again and again. The man slammed his hand on the table. Sterling stood and pointed, his face hard. Then the man left. Left Sterling alone, head in his hands. Jordan tilted her head. "I've never seen that guy before." She loaded the next few files. Same pattern. Different people. Different shady-looking figures. But always the same room. Sterling tired fighting. Business suits, threats, pressure. Until one video made my throat tighten. The date stamp read 1 day before his disappearance. Sterling was sitting across from someone I did recognize. Mr. Ellis Vance. My father-in-law. His face was expressionless, but his body language screamed guilt. He placed a folder and a plane ticket on the desk. Sterling barely glanced at them. Then stood. He didn't shout this time. He looked broken. And disappointed. He walked to the door and left. Ellis was left slumped in his seat, face in hands. We all sat in silence for a long time. Jordan finally spoke. He offered my brother money to leave. That folder must be a contract, a silence deal. Elias leaned forward. No one just disappears like that unless they've been made to. Jordan froze mid-sentence. Wait, go back, zoom there, the folder Ellis gave, look the top page. Elias lined in. Zoomed. A few words were just barely visible, captured by the angle of the camera. They read, "Land Conveyance Contract, Alpharetta District." Alpharetta. My breath hitched. That was the eco-housing project Sterling had poured his life into. He used to stay up into the night sketching designs and organizing spreadsheets by hand. This wasn't just a betrayal. It was theft. Elias rubbed his chin. They sold it, the project, his dream. And probably to whoever those people were in the earlier videos. Wait, Jordan said, play that one again, the first man, the angry one. Elias loaded it, we all leaned closer. He's the key, Jordan whispered. He's not just mad, he's scared. But we had no idea who he was. Not yet. And then something changed. Elias scrubbed forward through Sterling's body language. Stopped on one specific frame. Guys, there. Under the desk, just at the corner of the screen. A black object. Tiny, taped beneath the wood. A USB flash drive. Sterling had hidden something else. Not in the box. Not in the card. Not even in the videos. But under his desk. We all stared at each other. This wasn't over. There was more to find. But we couldn't go back through the front door. Celeste was already suspicious. And Mr. Ellis. He may have looked weak, but he knew how to be invisible and dangerous. Returning meant risking everything. But truth doesn't wait. So Jordan made a call. Music builds softly with tension. We'll stage a break-in, she said, not us, someone else. I blinked, someone else. Jordan nodded slowly. My parents owe money, Amara, a lot more than they let on, and one very dangerous man is looking for payback. His name was Scarface Sal. Mob-connected, brilliantly unpredictable. And according to Jordan, he doesn't want blood, just his money. If we feed him the right rumor that the Vances are hiding stolen wealth in the house. I understood immediately. He wouldn't come through the front door asking nicely. He'd come through the windows. And in that chaos, we'd slip in. Was it a risky plan? Yes. Could it go completely wrong? Absolutely.